This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Top of the publishing day to all of you. Last week, we had so much information about the always wanted more topic called book marketing, but this had a twist to it. It was really about the power of the right copywriting and those secrets that can get your headline, grab attention, that can open up kind of the lure. And with us was Casey Demchak. And I asked Casey, you know what? I think we need to do another show on this because there is so much more with that. Casey writes persuasive marketing materials that help you sell more books. In fact, he has written the marketing copy for more than 36 books that have become Amazon bestsellers. He's best known for his innovative approach to creating core message platforms that serve as the master messaging document for your book, your blogs, your articles, your marketing copy, fill in the blank. He's also an author himself. His book is Essential Sales Writing Secrets. I want to give you right off top, all of you, his website, which is CASEY, Casey, and then Demchak, DEMCHAK.com. Write it down so you have it. And so Casey's back with us, and I want to share with all of you that last weekend, if you're listening to this podcast for the first time on the 19th of September, we had the induction of the Colorado Authors Hall of Fame. And the things that we're talking about, I've used to engage from broadcasters, from reporters. We got so many home runs with the different hooks, tips, and tricks that we're going to share with you throughout. We got coverage from all the major publications in the Colorado area, not just in Denver. We reached out all over the state. So what we're going to be talking about today works if you decide to implement it. Casey, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, Judith. It's a pleasure to be back.
All right. So here we go. For another really expansive week, and to really deliver far more copywriting secrets. So I'm going to throw the ball right to you and let you jump in. Where's the best place to start off? And maybe you might want to roll over a few of the items that we talked about the previous week, if you can recall any of those.
Well, last week we talked about engaging people with simple benefit-driven headlines.
Yep.
Which is, the first thing you want to, your headlines are your most valuable real estate in book marketing company. It's the way to engage people. So we talked about some proven headline formats that can grab people and drive them into your body copy. We also talked about really, the importance of book marketing copy, which is to get people to buy your book now. I always tell the authors I work with, it's great to have social media copy, PR copy, things that create awareness and create a buzz for your book. But eventually you need some marketing copy, like sales page copy or Amazon description copy. You need copy that's going to motivate people to pull out the credit card and buy your book. Those were two big points we went over. And then we had several a little more detailed writing tips as well, which I have some more for this week.
Which I'm ready to jump into. So let's kind of, Casey, you talk about something calling, it's a conversation, but how to set it up. So maybe that's where we ought to start. Really, at the beginning of the show, let's start with the setup. How's that sound?
That sounds great. Yeah, and a big point, and this kind of is what we talked about last week as well, is a lot of authors that I work with are a little intimidated or uneasy with writing book marketing copy because they feel like they have to make a sales pitch.
I know.
And really, what you want to do is these days, book marketing copy can be, you can think of it as a conversation with a potential reader. Because it really comes down to write more persuasive book marketing copy. It's not about being snappy and salesy in Madison Avenue. It's about being authentic. It's about being straightforward. But it's about presenting information in kind of a logical sequence. And again, one of the things we talked about last week was directing your copy towards the reader. If you've written a nonfiction book or even a novel, start your book marketing copy by writing about the thirst that your reader has, or the needs or the challenge that they have. Start off talking about them first, so that way that you get the conversation rolling and it's more about your reader. As we talked about last week, kind of the expression we used was, don't start off by writing or talking about what your book is about. Talk about what your readers are going to get out of your book. Mm-hmm. And when you have that viewpoint of we're going to have a conversation and you're going to tell the reader this is what you'll gain from, rather than saying in my book I provide, you want to go more the route of by reading my book you'll receive. Okay. Now, when you get into that frame of mind, you're conveying benefits to your reader. You're making the conversation about them. And when you do that, they're much more open to listening to you. So you're not really making a sales pitch. You're just telling them the nice things and the benefits they're going to derive from your book. It makes it much easier to get in the frame of mind, hey, I'm not making a sales pitch. Because when you're directing the copy towards your reader, kind of the expression I use is you're selling yourself to them or selling your book to them without making a sales pitch. You're providing them with tips and information, and they're just much more welcoming to hearing that message as opposed to kind of an old Madison Avenue sales pitch.
Uh-huh. So I think that, what you hit on, which was so essential right at the tippy top, was this whole deal that conversational is where you go. Authenticity is essential in that mm-hmm. part. And of course, we always have to know, you and I have said this a gazillion times, who is the target market? Who are we having this discussion with? Who are we sitting down over a glass of wine or a cup of coffee with and doing them that you begin the dialogue with? And so we have to stress that. Boy, do we have to stress it, huh?
Absolutely. In fact, it's always a good idea to think about your ideal reader or your target market. Yes. And spend some time to write about them and just for yourself, write down a 1 or 2 page description of that person and what their name is and who they uh-huh. are and what their challenges are and what their needs are. What do they watch on TV at night, or how old are they? Are they primarily men or women? Just really to write a nice avatar, of your target market, and then write all your copy to that person. And you will sweep in other people on the side as well, but you're much easier to write a effective marketing copy when you have a specific person in mind that you're writing to.
And then also, it helps you get unstuck, Casey. If you're stuck,
oh, yeah.
if you get into a stucky, that's when having that authentic conversation with who that ideal reader / buyer is just might be the kicker that tips you over right into, oh yeah, I forgot about this, and you're right on track again. I've done that so many times. Just sit down. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Write up a description of the person and maybe even, for people who are very visual, clip out a picture of that person from a magazine or find a picture online that you can print out or something like that as well, so that you have a description of the person, but you also have their face.
Yep. You've got that image. So, Casey, I have a question for you that we always talk about, that we need to move along on having that headline. Do you have some favorite tricks that you like to lean to when you're looking for the perfect words or the ideal headline or the phraseology when you're creating those? Do you have a site that you go to or to check it off, or is it just something that you naturally do?
It's something, last week I went through some, proven headline formats like how-to headlines or 3 reasons why or 3 secrets to. I go to more simple. I think when I worked with a lot of authors who work on their own book marketing copy, they kind of think, oh, I've got to go to snappy, sexy, clever, sassy, brassy, or, Madison Avenue style headlines. So what I do is my brain goes to simple, because what I always remind people, your headline has 2 functions. Number 1, it's to grab the attention of your reader, and it is to drive the reader into the body copy to get more information. And you can do that with very simple headlines. And I always try to think of headlines that imply a promise or a benefit or state one directly. We had a sample headline. We had a sample headline last week: how to build big wealth. That's wealth, not bulk. How to build big wealth after age 50. So if you've written a financial book directed towards people over 50, a simple headline like that it's not clever, it's not crazy, but it'll get people's attention, and they're going to jump into the body copy to find out how to build big wealth. That's a much more effective headline than something like dollars and cents. One doesn't come with the other.
Oh, see, I love that. Yeah. Well, it's also you could play with that even further. The dollars and cents CENTS and SENSE. Don't always go hand in hand. I'm going, wait a minute, I need to think about this. When I was doing the things for the Hall of Fame, we're very close to taking our first break here. When I was rolling out the articles and every week we put out a new press release. And one that really snagged the attention is I just wrote in the subject line to the press, Colorado is the first Authors Hall of Fame in the United States. That's all I said. Everybody opened it. Because we were first, and this was reporters. All right, we'll be right back. Casey Demchak is with me. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Is there a book in you or another? AuthorU shows you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you will find a supportive and brainstorming community that is connected and creative, no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual AuthorU extravaganza. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. AuthorU is the premier authoring resource in the country, creating community, education, guidance, vision, and success for the serious author. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. Timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted on its social media platforms, and it is free. Discover AuthorU, where authors go to become seriously successful. Join AuthorU today at AuthorU.org. Are you confused about publishing options? Do you know which printing option is best for your book? Does your stomach flip when you think about selling books? Or do you feel overwhelmed with what to do about book marketing and publicity? Get the answers and much more. Get them and from someone who knows publishing inside and out from both the traditional and independent sides, how to make a successful book. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand and platform, and is a success, a bestseller. It is your choice. You choose. If you want author and publishing success, you want Judith Briles as your book coach. Sign up for her weekly blogs and e-zine at thebookshepherd.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, with me is Casey Demchak, and we're trying to really simplify taking out the pain. As Casey and I both like to resolve pain for authors with their marketing, and really giving you some good copywriting secrets. So Casey referred to in our first really tip was you got to master your set-offs and your payoffs. So that you've got this conversation going with who your ideal reader, that consumer, that buyer. And remember, it's going to change. I was sharing offline before we came back on after our sponsor ads that I have been really successful with our press releases because of the way I was writing just the simple words in the subject line to reporters. And remember, if you're trying to get press, your subject line may not be the same as what you do for the buyer of your book. And maybe Casey, I'd love to have you do some chat about this, just fine tweaking and changing lines.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, because the copy you write for your target audience, like you said, is going to be a little different than what you do to get publicity. But overall, you know, keeping things simple, getting to the point, revealing things, or you know, how to you know, and like you mentioned that you were talking to me about the headline that you used in the subject line. Yeah. We're the first, you know, things like that.
Yeah. So because now see, remember everyone, I was going to the reporters. This was going directly as part of a press release we were shooting out. And what I was trying to have create a conversation with them. I knew that they were my buyer. And we only sent it out directly to people who would carry this kind of flow of information. Not every media, for this case, not every media resource is going to be wanting to talk about the Colorado Authors Hall of Fame. And when I stumbled across that, you know, we were the first, as in the country, I had people, actually other authors, groups, Casey, argue with me, saying, oh no, there's this in New York and this in Virginia. They were Writers Hall of Fame. And this is my opportunity to say authors are different from writers. All authors are writers, but not all writers are authors. And I had some amazing conversations, Casey, with people. Almost like, yeah, amazing.
You know, and that's great, but the fact that you and what sparked those conversations was you putting yourself out there.
Oh, yeah, you always have to start there.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, we always tell authors is put yourself out there. And if you're putting out, you know, information about your book, and someone starts a debate with you or something like that, think of that as a good thing. That means people are taking notice.
Yes, it is. And also, you know, and if it's controversial can sell. It can sell huge.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
Think of entertainers who were, you know, more provocative than they were talented. You know, Madonna is a good example. You know, Madonna had a famous quote: I'm not the best singer and I'm not the best dancer and I don't write songs, but nobody is as provocative as I am. You know.
And she was right.
Absolutely.
At that time, she was right,
yeah.
Especially as a woman in the process.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's come back to this. We're talking about simple words. I use simple words. Colorado was the first state in the United States to create an Authors Hall of Fame. You know, and boy, the media loved it, Casey.
Yeah, and you know,
yeah. Right.
As I say, kind of the thought behind that, you had a simple message. And when you're writing marketing copy or any kind of publicity copy, no one's ever going to complain that your copy or your message is too easy to read and too easy to understand.
Yes, that's for sure.
That's for sure, because people are bombarded by messages. So if you can make your message simple without dumbing it down too much, always consider your audience. It gives you a big advantage. Just because, again, it's worth repeating. Nobody's ever going to say, hey, your messaging, your marketing messaging was way too easy to read. And the flip side of that, I always tell people, is in addition to thinking of simple words, kind of an old copywriting saying is simple words and short sentences sell. And I always emphasize using shorter sentences, and because there's some off-the-wall research out there you could read, and when I first read it, it didn't make sense to me, but then I thought about it, I go, it really does make sense. When people read, their eyes look for the period at the end of a sentence. They just, and I thought, I kind of do that. And if you write long-winded, so if you write long-winded sentences with a lot of semicolons and stuff like that, people will read half the sentence, and then their eyes will just skim to the period to find the stopping point and then start the next sentence. It's kind of an odd thing. I've read there's, research that makes that point, and I first thought, well, how do they know that? But there's all kinds of eye tests, that has been applied to marketing copy. So keep your sentences short, keep them simple, and move on to the next sentence. And one way you can do that is in marketing copy, it's okay to start sentences with transition words like because or but or so or and, something like that. Mm-hmm. So if you have a longer thought, you can just break it into a couple sentences. And it by keeping your sentences shorter and by using more simple words, you kind of hedge your bets a little bit that your message is actually going to be read, which is obviously what you want.
Exactly. And you know what, Casey, this is my confession. I used to write longer sentences and think that you needed to do all these, have longer was maybe better than shorter. Boy, did I do a 180 when I became a columnist for the Denver Business Journal years ago. For 10 years, I wrote the Career Moves column, and I learned to love a one-sentence paragraph. I learned to love a one-word sentence. And it just, and I do like to write punchy, but it really punched up. And punch was the right word. It really punched up the connectability. So that sometimes a one-word sentence, yikes, was totally appropriate. Ouch.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to say, to piggyback on a point we made last week about, one sentence paragraph or a 2-sentence paragraph or shorter sentences like we're talking about now. Always consider whenever all the marketing materials you write, like I work on a big desktop computer. So I'm looking at what I write on a big desktop computer screen, but more and more people every day are reading your marketing messages on their phones. And if you write a long sentence that looks like one long line on your computer screen, it's going to look really long on a phone because obviously the copy gets compressed. So if you have on your computer screen that looks like a 3-line paragraph on a phone, it's going to look like maybe 7 or 8 lines. So you always want to think about making your copy mobile friendly. And simple words and short sentences help you do that.
Exactly. And you do have to think, but I don't know I keep hearing different percentages, but I'll tell you it's as low as 60%. And it could be 80%, but somewhere there is a happy spark in here. And that's what people are reading on their mobiles. And they've learned to skim over the ads. They've got to skim over the ads and getting to them. And I think we all really need to think about that. So one tip for all of you, make sure that you're doing a check on your website and its mobile friendliness. It's a side thing here, but you better be doing this every once in a while to see how things are looking.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I send out an email every week with a video blog, and it comes out at 7 a.m. on Tuesdays, and that's the first place I look at it is on my phone.
Exactly. And especially you're scanning stuff. Yeah, I read one of the newspapers I subscribe to totally on the phone. So
yeah, maybe more people are doing that.
And so then we're there. Okay, so we've got about 2 minutes before our next break, but let's just really kind of look at this, dumbing down, all of you, that you don't want her to have it at a first grade level, but it's actually the 6th grade type of level. And you could check out, and this is where you might want to use some of your apps. I mean, for emotional deals, I always go to aminstitute.com. And that's AppleMaryInstitute.com. It's created by the America Marketing Institute, and you can get an emotional feedback very quickly on if you have the right verb in there or the right descriptive adjective, and it'll help you out a little bit. So I always look for at least a score of 40 on that. Another really fun site I like to go to, Casey, I'm sure you're aware of it, is Tweak Your Biz. Have you ever gone there?
I haven't.
Well, let me tell you about Tweak Your Biz. Everybody, there you go. Tweakyourbiz.com. You put in your keyword. What's the keyword you're trying to get out? Your keyword, key phrase. And I'm telling you, within 10 seconds, you will have 100 different title variables. Now, some you're just going to throw away. But, I mean, everything from snarky to emotional, to romantic. I mean, you name it, there is some variable. Tweak Your Biz. And then my other favorite, when I feel like I'm in a quirky mood, is Portent, PORTENT.com, where you can play around a little bit. And it'll come up with things that you can. Those are all free sites we're talking about. I would also, if you want to make sure your grammar buds are in place, you might want to just download the Hemingway app, and spelled like Ernest Hemingway's name, but the Hemingway app, and pop it in there, and it'll tell you, it'll give you a grade of what your lines are. If it's 1st grade, 3rd grade, 13th grade, you don't want 12th grade, people. It's going to violate Casey's essential rule that I loved. Use simple words. Don't drive your readers to the dictionary to figure out what you said. We're going to take one more break. We'll be right back. We're talking about stellar copywriting secrets.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Discover the power of you and your book at the Judith Briles Unplugged events. Each summer, Judith Briles Book Marketing Unplugged unfolds over 3 intensive days working with just Judith. You get publishing strategies, author and book platforms, book marketing panache and pizzazz, and authoring tools to take you and your book to rock star success. In the fall and winter, Judith Briles Speaking Unplugged includes Judith as your coach and mentor during 2 powerful days. You will learn how to structure a speech, how to create openings and closings, how to find gigs that pay you and sell your books, and you will get one-on-one coaching. Go to thebookshepherd.com and click on the Events tab to learn how to participate at the next Unplugged Workshop event.
First impressions are everything in the world of book publishing. Whether your book is an ebook, a print version, or both, your book cover needs to pop, sizzle, and sparkle to immediately capture the attention of your audience. And your book's interior needs to be just as dynamic and reflect the professionalism your readers demand. Nick Sellinger of NZ Graphics has won numerous national and international book awards for his cover designs and interior layouts. With over 20 years of experience in graphic design, he knows what it takes to create award-winning books and the many promotional pieces that authors need, such as posters, banners, postcards, one-sheets, business cards, logos, and more. Visit ncgraphics.com and see what authors and publishers have to say about their award-winning books and how NZ Graphics can make your book the success it was meant to be. That's nzgraphics.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, with me was Casey Demchak, and that's Demchak. CaseyDemchak.com has all kinds of goodies, free stuff even for all of you. So if you just go to CaseyDemchak.com, take a look at what's free, and it includes his ebook, 7 Must-Know Copywriting Secrets That Sell More Books. And then he has a book marketing copy quick tip, video blogs that you want to kind of queue up and watch. If you're we should all be book marketing all the time. So Casey, you talk about, when you and I talk offline or in other events, we always talk about the need. It's really the need to not only break up all the line after black text, but to add in some bullet points. So I'd love to have you get those in. What's the most effective type of bullet point to?
Bullet points are, we talked a lot about last week and also this week about conveying the benefits of your book. And I've always found that bullet points are a great way to break up your copy. It makes it more reader friendly when people see headline, subhead, a couple short lines of text, and then some bullet points. And I think the best use of bullet points is just a great way to convey the benefits of your book. And a couple key points on bullet points is you want to make them very short and concise. You want to start them with action words or verbs. And I'll give you an example here. There's a book I worked on called 5 Minutes for Fundraising by Martin Liefeld. It's a business book. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give you a little copy that leads into some bullet points. So I'll read that to you.
Okay.
And pretend we're in the middle of the sales copy right now, but there's a line that says, through his experience and the wisdom shared by 26 of today's most successful fundraisers, you'll gain the skills you need to, and then we get into bullet points that read, ask for major gifts with ease and confidence, understand how to cultivate key donor relationships, assess and optimize your organization's fundraising abilities, establish practices that align with today's most persuasive fundraisers. Now, what you notice about those bullets, they all start with action words: ask, understand, assess, establish. So it makes them more dynamic. They're kind of punchy and straight to the point, and they all communicate a benefit, or they either imply or promise a benefit. And a couple more things. What you'll see when you do bullet points and you start them with action words, do your very, very best not to have your bullets start with the same action word. Sometimes I'll see bullet point lists, and the author falls in with they'll use the word develop. You have 5 bullets, they'll use the word develop 3 times. Mm-hmm. So you want to do some work and do some rewriting. And then lastly, focus on your first bullet and focus on your last bullet the most, because a little research will tell you that if people are kind of skimming, they'll read your first bullet and your last, and if they're going to skip anything, it's the bullets in between. So you don't want your most important bullet point first and your second most important one second. You want your second most important bullet to be last. I hope that made sense.
Yes, we want the second bullet point to be the one they read last. You want them to look at number 1 and then go down to number 5 and think, this is a good sandwich. I better read the rest. What do you think of that?
Exactly. That's what it is, a bullet sandwich. Yeah, you want to, or another way of framing your bullets too, yeah.
Oh, I'm writing that down as a note. What was the name of that book again?
5 Minutes for Fundraising by Martin Liefeld. Really good guy, really good book.
All right. So I actually, because of what I do, I am going to be looking that up. So there you go.
All right. Very cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's talk about, so that's important. This is critical, everyone. And we're not just talking about this. I'm talking about back cover copy for your book. This is where this goes. This is essential. And Casey, one of the things that has been a plus for me, because I spoke for so many years, like decades, a couple of decades, in the healthcare field, and that a lot of times when people came to hear me, they were earning continuing education units. You learn when you write these benefit statements, when you put in your descriptors, so they can then subscribe to whatever the certifying association is. You learn how to write with those action verbs, the first word. You learn to write your bullets. They have to have action verbs that they will learn, they will develop, they will create, those kind of things. You learn how to write that way, because that's what they're looking for the certification, that this is really a benefit-driven entity, that the participant is going for, and they're learning something, therefore we will approve it.
Yeah, and another thing is when you have bullets that start with, sharp action words, it makes your writing come across as more confident and more certain. And if you've written a nonfiction book, a business book or something, it actually helps establish your authority to an extent. You always want your writing to be confident and certain. I always tell people, don't write, I believe this, or I think that, or if you agree. Be very certain with your opinions in your writing.
Exactly. Own it. You need to own it. Everyone, you got to own it.
Yeah.
That's the purpose here.
And like you said earlier.
Well, this is true. All right. So, Casey, you talk about painting solutions. So let's play with that, because that creates wonderful visuals. When I just hear the word painting, I'm already thrown into a visual state of mind.
Absolutely. And what I always tell people is when you express the benefits of your book, when you're talking about the benefits, maybe you can write what I call solution pictures to bring those benefits to life to some extent. And, you're talking about healthcare. I just happen to have an example from a healthcare book. There was an author I worked with named Michael Gallitzer, who was Suzanne Summers' doctor, and he wrote a book called Outstanding Health. And we kind of started, I think this is from the very beginning of a sales pitch that I wrote, but this is a brief example of painting a solution picture. And here I'll go. Headline is, imagine this exciting vision for yourself. The wisdom and insight that comes with age, the vibrant energy and physical vitality you enjoyed back in the day. In fact, it's the best of both worlds, and you can really have them both. In fact, this ideal vision and the freedom that comes with it can be your everyday reality, well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Maybe getting older, but you can still have all the energy you want. The proven secrets to achieving this lasting state of vibrant health are presented in vivid detail in Dr. Gallitzer's groundbreaking new book, Outstanding Health. So we did more there than just say, here, this book will help you get more energy. We kind of paint a picture of what it would be like to have more energy.
In a for vivid health. I love vivid health. Those last two words. Okay, so you know what you did with that copy. This is what's really cool, Casey. Where you kicked it off, you had the sandwich paragraph now. So your opening line, your opening few words to pull in, and then that ending few words to pull in is just hot. So I love that.
Yeah, you always want to. I always tell people, if you have a bit of copy like that, you really want to focus on the closing, because you really want it to be a nice that real kind of primary benefit punch, and it also makes people want more. They want to know, hey, this picture you just painted sounds attractive to me. I want to know how to do that. So if you write a book about, we mentioned a title, Build Big Wealth After 50. Obviously you don't want to just write, you'll have more money and more security. You want to paint a picture of what that's like. Maybe paint a picture of taking that trip to Europe you've always wanted to take and being gone for a month. And what would you take a paragraph or so to paint a picture of what that person's life is going to be like when they experience the benefit that you've described. It's okay to take a paragraph or so, or to paint that picture with words. If it's a book about relationships, obviously you can paint, a nice romantic picture. If it's a book about vibrant health, like we just did, we can paint that picture. You can do it with, any book. You can think of, let's bring this benefit to life and take some time to paint a picture with words.
Yeah, and it's always, which I love. Yeah, so it's a paintbrush. It's a paintbrush. So all of you need to write with a paintbrush as part of your guide. I'm just going to say that. All right, we have a couple of really strong points. I know we have another break coming up here shortly, but let's talk about if we can move into one of your 5th points here. We have a total of 6, everyone that's listening with us. But let's talk about how to write strong. It's just not writing that fluidity. It's just not writing the vivity. We have to write strong. So give us some examples. And how about, Casey? I'd love this, because we'll probably have to break over and carry this into the next segment. But I would love to give me a limp one, weak examples, and how it can be morphed. You game for that?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, one way to test for weakness is if you're using terms like "I believe" or "if you agree with me," or "if you're interested." That's again, be confident and certain, especially when you're writing call to action lines. So if you find yourself asking, well, if you agree with me, or if you believe, or I believe this, if you write, you never have to use the term "I believe," because that's a little bit of a weakness. Like, I believe, but you may not believe, and others may not believe. If you're writing something, people can assume that it's your belief because you're the one writing it. So you can get rid of terms like that.
I would hope so, Casey. But I hate to say, you never know what they're going to believe or assume, but that's there. We're gonna run up to the break, so let's carry that over there. One of the funny lines I used to use: if you agree with me like I do, then yeah. And really throw them for a zinger. So, all right, we're going to be right back. You're all listening to Your Guide to Book Publishing. I'm Judith Briles, the book shepherd. With me is Casey Demchak, really an expert in the secrets to copywriting for book marketing power. We'll be right back.
This is Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and guide to collaborate with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You do not need more problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and chaos. At times, she has had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher, by a publishing service provider, and sometimes even by the author. If you want author and book success, connect with her today at thebookshepherd.com.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. To Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, our final segment. I always hate it when these shows go so fast. But this is really, we're talking about really the power behind your marketing. Whether it's the book you're behind, whether it's yourself you're behind, whether it's an event you're behind, all the things that Casey and I are talking about today, as well as in the preceding week on part 1, is all about your success in whatever the ask is about, So we're talking about, I asked Casey when we came back in, I wanted him to give us some limp lines that people could use. And then how can we tweak them and morph them just with a couple of things to bring it back so it's got the snap, crackle, and pop that you want to make it effective and you have your best word going forward. Okay, Casey, back to you.
Okay, I'm going to give you a couple examples of call to action lines I've got here in front of me for books. With the part where you get to your marketing copy where you're going to ask people to buy your book. I call that, going across the dance floor and asking someone to dance. At some point, you have to go do the ask. And I've got one in front of me, and I'll kind of right on the spot here, kind of make it sound kind of limp and kind of weak. Mm-hmm. And then I'll read what I actually wrote so it sounds stronger. This is for a book called Heal Yourself with Journaling Power by Marielle McCarthy. Marielle McCarthy, little quick story. She mitigated a lot of her MS symptoms, multiple sclerosis, by journaling. She got off prescription drugs and started journaling, and it mitigated a lot of her symptoms. So she wrote a book about how you can heal yourself with journaling power. So I'm going to read a limp-sounding line. If journaling sounds like something you'd be interested in, Heal Yourself with Journaling Power might be able to help you understand what conventional medical wisdom has fully embraced and what I've been shouting to the world for years, and that is that expressive writing has the potential to have undeniable life-changing benefits. Now that's jump on board the revolution today. That's kind of very limp sounding.
Yeah, it is.
You're using terms like if journaling sounds like something that interests you, this book might be able to help you. That you want to write from a place of certainty. You've gone through all this trouble of writing a book, so you must be certain about your opinions. And you want to put yourself out there as an authority on a particular topic. After all, if you've written a book about it, I'm sure you feel like an authority. So be very certain with your call to action line. So I'm going to reread this line so that it sounds much more certain. So it would go like this. Heal Yourself with Journaling Power illustrates clearly how conventional medical wisdom has fully embraced what Marielle McCarthy has been shouting to the world for years. Expressive journaling has undeniable life-changing health benefits. Jump on board and join the revolution today. And then right below that, you'd have your Amazon order button. So that statement there was very definitive. I mean, it wasn't wishy-washy or asking if you're interested. Mm-hmm. It used terms like illustrates clearly what medical wisdom has fully embraced. Expressive journaling has undeniable life-changing health benefits. Jump on board and join the revolution today. It wasn't if you're interested, jump on board. It's just jump up. It's a very commanding thing of line. So when you get down to that big ask, you want to make it very certain and very confident.
I love the phrase, actually, jump on board. I love that phrase. I'm going to remember using that. Thank you.
No, yeah. It's just, what's good about it is you're telling people what to do.
Yes.
And that's something to remember when you're working on your marketing copy for your book. It's a little line I always use. Always tell people what to do next. Don't assume they know what to do next. Always tell them.
Jump on board, get your copy before they run out, or whatever it is.
Yeah, and think about it, because that's another way of saying buy my book without saying buy my book.
Yep.
So you can say buy my book without saying buy my book, but that's what you're asking. And also a key word in that phrase, jump on board and join the revolution today. Not later, not next week, today. And I have the word today capitalized. And again, touching on a point we made last week, the big heavy word in that sentence is today. And we make that the very last word. When you can put the heavy word in a sentence as the last word, it has much more impact. Remember the example we used last week was the historical statement from Apollo 13. Houston, we have a problem. Not we have a problem, Houston. That would not have been nearly as memorable. It was Houston, we have a problem.
That's
Because
right.
the heavy word there is problem.
And you were talking about 5 words with huge clout. Huge clout. Houston, we have a problem. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
That's perfect. All right, so let's talk about, let's segue here. Let's kind of do a wrap up here about good writing versus so-so writing versus absolutely fantastic, off the ceilings and walls, great writing.
Let's do it.
Okay, it's your turn.
Okay, well, what I always tell people when I wrap things up, when I'm doing some coaching or anything, I'll always say to people, good writing is rewriting and great writing is rewriting some more. Again, I'm going to repeat that. Good writing is rewriting and great writing is rewriting some more. You have to do a lot of drafts. You really have to work on your copy. Think of yourself at the kitchen table if you're making something with dough, how you have to knead the dough and sit there with your hands and go through it a million times. You do that with your writing. I'm sure you've heard this too, Judith, but people, when they approach me about writing their book marketing copy, they'll, Casey, I need you to work your magic, because maybe I've sent them some writing samples and they really like my samples. So they'll say, could you do your magic? And I always chuckle and I say, sure, yeah. But inside I know that it's not magic, it's work. And it's rewriting and revising some more and putting some thought into things. It also involves what I call letting your copy incubate. When you think it's done, let it sit overnight. Because I guarantee you, if you're working on some copy at night and you sleep on it and take a fresh look at it in the morning, you're going to make some changes. Now, at some point,
so
it has to be done. But revise it and rewrite it. That is what makes great writing, is taking the time to do a lot of revisions.
So good writing is rewriting, great writing is revising some more. Is that your key phrase there?
Yeah. Good writing is rewriting and great writing is rewriting some more. Because what I always tell people is, they'll compliment me in my writing, which I always appreciate. But a lot of people say, Casey, I'm blocked up. I just can't write the kind of stuff you're writing. Or I go, what you want to do with that first draft is let yourself write some cruddy copy or some crappy copy. I'll tell people, my first drafts, a lot of them aren't that good. I get the thoughts down on paper that I want to say, but I find myself repeating words and repeating descriptors, and I go through it and fix it and revise it. That first draft is just to get it down on paper. Great writers write crappy first drafts all the time. The difference is professional writers allow themselves to write crappy first drafts because they know they have the tools in their toolkit to revise it and fix it, and they know that they're going to take the time to do that. So don't get blocked off thinking you have to write a first draft that's really good. Just open it up, let it flow, get it down on paper, because that's what I really love to do is just get that first draft done, and then I like playing with the copy and revising it and changing things and picking just the right word. Have some fun with that.
And just so it's what I call noodling. And just getting started. And there are some times there are sometimes copy when, Casey, when I've written something and it is good. I mean, I got all the essence, but I did get that snap I was looking for. But it has never been a time when I have not gone back and looked at that really good copy I did and tweaked it and added a little bit more because it's had time to marinate on that. And that's what I tell a lot of the authors I work with, that when we're getting out the copy to start letting people know that this baby's coming, it doesn't have to be perfect, because as the baby develops, you're going to change it anyway. The purpose is we want to get something started here. So, because you're going to go back and you can rechange it. I mean, it's until we go to actual hard print, it's a work in progress. That's the way I look at it.
Oh, absolutely. And and a wonderful thing about book marketing copy is so much of it, like I'm still in favor of, old school stuff like postcards and sales sheets.
I love postcards.
So much of our marketing copy now is digital, like, our Amazon description, of course, our back cover copy isn't. But, if you have a website for your book and you have a sales page, you can, even after you put it out there and published it, you can go back and make little tweaks. And another way to make your copy really good with your marketing copy, I always tell people this, is to always, before you call it final, read it out loud. Mm-hmm. Read it, and I don't mean to get your lips moving and read it silently. Read it out loud. If your neighbors hear you or the person in the other room, so what? But read it out loud, just like I'm talking out loud right now, because I guarantee you, if you read it out loud, that's when you might discover that you use the word develop 12 times or 6 times, or the word dynamic a number of times. You'll discover by reading it out loud if you've used the same verb or descriptor or adjective a couple too many times, because you'll hear yourself saying that. You realize, I used that line 2 lines ago. If you just read it, you may not notice that, but read your copy out loud and you'll get feedback that you don't get by just, reading it quietly.
Which will always make sense to that. And I actually just sent back, I called a client and I said, I'm going to be sending this back to you probably by Wednesday. And I didn't go in and make all the fixes. I'm going to let you do it because you used the word apparently 45 times in your book. And I'm going to have you change some of that up. All right. With me is Casey Demchak. All of you, go to his website. It's demchak.com, CaseyDemchak.com, and get his information. It will save your book life and really propel your marketing in a whole new direction. Casey, thank you so much for being on AuthorU, your guide to book publishing.
You are welcome, Judith.
All right, everyone. Good publishing, good writing. We'll be with you next week.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each week, a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take you, the author, to the next level. You'll learn tips and secrets on how to create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve book publishing success by making one very simple change in your book's journey. How to avoid the publishing predators. How to create an author and book platform that rocks. Learn how to make a living with your words and your books. Learn how to publish a book that has no regrets, and so much more. For more information, check out AuthorU.org, where authors who want to be seriously successful go. And Judith's website, thebookshepherd.com. Then join us again here next week for more. It's Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on the Rockstar Radio Network.